Hello guys, welcome. This is Deepika from mytutorialrack.com, and in this tutorial we are going to talk about tokens. What is a token? Whenever you write a prompt, that behind the scene that prompt gets converted into token, and more number of token your prompt is using, more money you're going to pay. So it's very directly proportional to the type of prompt you're writing. If you're adding more context, more information along with your prompt, then more tokens will be consumed, more money you will be charged. A token is like a little chunk of text. Computers don't read text letter by letter or word by word, they break them into tokens. For example, let's say there is a prompt called Salesforce is awesome. It might become these words. Sales is a separate word, force is a separate, it can get converted, and there might be 5 tokens used even though it's only 3 words. So there is no correlation between how many words and tokens, but you'll get an understanding that, okay, bigger the prompt, it might get utilizing more tokens. Okay. So tokens are basically pieces of words the AI understands, and every prompt of yours is going to be converted into tokens. And more the tokens your prompt is using, more money you will have to pay. So where do you see that how many tokens have been used? So if you go here to cursor, under the usage, there is this all events, and every time you write a prompt, it will tell you these are the number of tokens it has used. So this has used total of 105,000, and then you have been charged $0.05 for this. Similarly, if there were 61,000 tokens were used, then you will be charged 0.03. And you can see more the number of tokens, more money you will be charging. Okay, so 352, these are the tokens used, and you've been charging 18 cents for that. So more the tokens are, you'll be charged accordingly. Now, if you wanted to go beyond your plan's included quota with on-demand usage, you have to enable that. For our plan, I am not enabling it because I don't want to get charged more. So here is how you get charged based on the tokens. And type a prompt, it gets split into tokens. AI will reply you. The answer is also counted in tokens. So the response that AI gives is also goes towards your token count. So you pay for your prompt tokens as well as the response tokens as well. So it's not just what you are sending to the model, but it's also what model is replying, that also consumes token. And the combination of those two is how many tokens your whole entire prompt with the response has used, and then you will be charged accordingly. So try to write shorter and clearer prompts that will result into fewer tokens and better results. This might not always be the case because sometimes you have written shorter prompts and they result into higher number of tokens, whereas when you have written smaller prompt, it resulted into lower number of tokens. So the calculation, how it gets calculated, is outside the scope of the course, but you understand that more clearer prompts you're going to write, less number of tokens will be used and less you will be charged. The context you have to use is very sparingly. Don't paste huge long unless it is needed. So don't have to add too much of context, because more context you're going to add, more tokens will be consumed. Summarize the responses. If you only need the key points, that also saves token, because your token, how much tokens, is not only dependent on your prompt, it also depends on the response that model is giving. So if you're asking for more concise response or more summary of the response, then the less tokens will be used. Okay, and every time you write a prompt, your usage will be listed inside of cursor. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and start with a very short prompt. And this is a prompt that I'm going to give to my cursor. Write a simple Apex class that multiplies 2 numbers and returns the result. Okay. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to give another prompt, and this is a little longer prompt that I'm going to give to cursor, and we will see what is the difference in the tokens used by both these prompts. Okay, so let's start with the first prompt here, and I've copy pasted this prompt here. So I'm going to go ahead and just use this and go over to cursor, and here I'm going to go ahead and hit enter, and we'll see how many tokens have been used. Okay. So it's giving you the answer. It's going to create the class for you. It's going to do everything for you here. So it has created this calculator class, and there is a method here which takes in 2 parameters of the type decimal number 1 and decimal number 2, and it returns you multiplication of these two numbers. Okay, so that is it. So I'm going to go ahead and accept these changes. And now here, if you go to the cursor, and you will see a date that, okay, this is the usage. So there is a prompt and it has used 96,000 tokens and you've been charged $0.06. Okay, so 6 cents you have been charged here, and it is 96,000 tokens. Now I'm going to go ahead and give cursor another prompt, and this is the prompt I'm going to give. So I'm going to go ahead and copy it and remove these quotes, and we're going to go ahead and copy this and see how many. It's doing the same exact thing, but the prompt that I'm used is a little bit longer. Okay, so this is what I'm saying. Can you please, in the most detailed manner possible, create an Apex class that performs a mathematical operation, specifically multiplication between two integers, ensuring you include all necessary Salesforce best practices such as proper class declaration with public, with sharing inline comments for every single line of code to make it extremely beginner friendly, a constructor even if it's empty, an example usage snippet inside a comment block, and proper exception handling even though multiplying two integers does not normally throw errors, and also explain the code afterward in plain English. So this is the entire prompt I am giving. And let's see how many tokens this prompt is doing. So there's two ways of writing the prompt. One was a simple prompt you have written, and now this is another prompt. It is doing it the similar thing that you have asked earlier, but the way you have asked is slightly different. So I'm going to go ahead and save these two classes here. And this is the new one that it has created. And you can see it has two numbers here, integer number 1, integer number 2. Now let's go ahead and see how much was the usage for this one. So now you can see this one, even though it is a bigger prompt, you can see it is directly, sometimes it's directly proportional, but what happens is I've also seen the cases where it was a smaller prompt and it used much more tokens as compared to the larger prompt. Okay, so even though it's a huge prompt, but you can see the difference is not huge. This one is 96,000, this is 100,000 tokens have been used and you've been charged less. You can see here 0.04 have been charged for this one, and even though this is 96,000, you have been charged more than this one. So it's very I don't know how the calculation's happening, but you can understand that based on the tokens, you will be charged accordingly. Okay. Ideally, it should have been more. The cost should have been more proportional to the tokens, but I'm not sure for this one. You can see it is a little bit off. Okay, so there are two ways of writing the same prompt, and the way the cursor is going to respond would be differently. Here you have specifically said you wanted two integers. Over there you didn't mention, and it uses decimal as those parameters. So this is the response. Now if you wanted to keep all, I'm going to go ahead and keep it all these changes. So we're going to go ahead and let's just go and accept it. And then you can go to here, and this has been accepted. So these are your two classes that it got created, calculator class and the calculator meta XML file. So understand token, basically every prompt that you write gets converted into token, and how many tokens you're going to use depends on not only the prompt that you have written, but also the response that came from the model, and combinedly you will be charged accordingly based on the total number of tokens that particular entire prompt journey has done. And then if you want to see the usage, you can go over to the cursor usage tab here, and you can see how much you have been charged according to those tokens. I hope this tutorial was crystal clear. I'm going to see you in the next video. Thank you.